Did you know some Lincoln pennies aren't just worth a penny? Hidden in your pocket change could be rare coins from the early 1900s, key dates, or mint errors worth hundreds or even thousands of dollars. One tiny penny could make you rich. Don't ignore them. Among the long list of Lincoln cents that collectors search for every day, the 1984 penny has earned a special place because of the surprising number of errors that surfaced in that year, some of which have become genuinely famous. At first glance, the coin looks like just another ordinary piece of copper-plated zinc from the 1980s, but a closer inspection reveals details capable of turning a single cent into a small fortune. The combination of unusual mistakes, dramatic visual distortions, and striking clarity in some doubled elements has brought this date into the spotlight many times, especially when rare varieties have surfaced in auctions and shocked even experienced bidders. What makes the 1984 penny so exciting is how deceptive it is. Most pieces you find in circulation look heavily worn, with the copper layer thinning or showing bubbles from corrosion. Because so many cents from the early zinc era suffer from damage, people often assume any odd appearance is just natural deterioration. Yet the most valuable 1984 errors are crisp, strong, and unmistakably mint-produced, with characteristics that even beginners can identify once they know what to look for. Some of these features are so bold that you immediately understand why the best examples have sold for impressive sums, sometimes reaching $58,300, $72,900, or even higher when the error is dramatic and the condition exceptional. The best-known 1984 error is the famous extra ear variety. On some coins, Lincoln's profile shows what looks like a second ear slightly behind the main one, a doubled image created during striking when the die and planchet did not align perfectly. The doubled ear appears like a second curved ridge in the shadow of the original, so clear that collectors don't even need magnification to see it. When this feature is sharply defined, the coin can command substantial value. One exceptionally crisp example graded in a high mint state sold for a remarkable $149,110, shocking many collectors who had never expected this date to reach such heights. Auction houses have recorded several strong sales involving this doubled ear variety. A piece with a deep red color and minimal contact marks crossed the auction block for around $83,000, and another with slightly softer detail but still striking clarity sold above $58,300. These numbers demonstrate just how desirable this variety is, especially because the doubling is bold, unmistakable, and visually appealing. Many other double dies are subtle or faint, but the 1984 example stands out as one of the most dramatic in the entire Lincoln cent series. Another interesting error category for this year involves die clashes, where the obverse and reverse dies strike each other without a planchet in between. When the dies collide, impressions from one side can transfer to the other, and if this happens with enough force, it leaves faint outlines on future coins. On some 1984 cents, you can see traces of the Lincoln Memorial between Lincoln's coat and the back of his neck, a ghost-like mark that gives the piece a mysterious look. Strong die clashes in high grade have been known to bring several $1,000s, and a particularly clear clash example with gorgeous luster reached nearly $18,000 in a competitive sale. But the surprises don't end there. A small number of off-center strikes from 1984 have also drawn collector interest. The most valuable examples are those where the off-center shift is large but the date remains fully visible. One unforgettable example, struck nearly 30% off-center with perfect clarity of the date and mint details, sold for more than $40,000, largely because it was both dramatic and visually balanced. Another example, slightly more subtle but still impressive, reached nearly $25,000, proving that even moderate off-center coins from this year can attract significant attention. There are also rare broad strikes from this date, where the collar that normally shapes the coin wasn't properly engaged. These pieces flare outward and lose the typical raised rim, creating a wider, pancake-like appearance. A beautifully preserved broad strike with deep red surfaces sold for nearly $11,000, and even more circulated examples have sold in the lower thousands simply because this date is desirable when paired with any bold mint error. Clipped planchets from 1984 also circulate in small quantities, where a section of the blank metal disc was cut improperly before entering the press. Crescent-shaped bites taken from the edge of the coin can create a striking and almost artistic effect. A large curved clip on a bright red 1984 penny sold for around $7,800 at auction, surprising bidders who expected a lower figure. Another dramatic double-clip example, where two separate portions of the metal were missing, reached almost $10,000, showing how collectors appreciate this date no matter which type of error appears. One of the lesser-known but still fascinating errors from 1984 involves early die breaks. Raised lines or lumps that appear on the coin due to cracks forming in the die. These breaks often create small elevated bumps, and on some coins the defect even crosses Lincoln's coat or cheek. A prominent die break example, often called a cud, with a thick raised blob on the rim, sold for more than $4,200. A strong number for a coin that many collectors might otherwise ignore. Even examples with multiple errors combined have shown unexpectedly strong results. A coin featuring both a dramatic die clash and a partial off-center strike shocked the room when it sold for nearly $32,000, proving that combinations of errors on this date can generate competitive bidding. These unusual pieces are especially intriguing because they offer a glimpse into moments on the production floor where several things went wrong in rapid succession. One of the most surprising sales of all involved a high-grade double-deer penny paired with a minor off-center shift. Even though the secondary error was subtle, bidders responded enthusiastically because of the rare combination. The final hammer price reached $97,500, cementing the coin as one of the most impressive 1984 Lincoln cents ever documented. The mixture of bold doubling, clean surfaces, and an unusual secondary strike anomaly created a piece that collectors saw as one-of-a-kind. Stories from collectors often involve finding these pennies in unexpected places. Several well-known examples were discovered in coin jars or old rolled cents stored away for decades. One man in the Midwest found a double-deer penny mixed with ordinary change he had been keeping for years. After sending it for grading, he learned that the coin was worth over $60,000, a discovery that instantly drew national attention in the numismatic community. Another collector found a lightly circulated example at a flea market inside a bag of random coins, proving yet again that valuable pieces sometimes appear in the most ordinary settings. What makes the 1984 penny even more appealing is the distinctiveness of the errors. The dramatic extra ear variety, the heavy die clashes, the off-center strikes, the broad strikes, the curved clips, the die breaks, each one tells its own story about the minting process and the mechanical unpredictability of high-speed coin production. Collectors love coins that show dramatic character, and the 1984 cent delivers this in more ways than one. The highest sales so far, reaching as high as $149,110, have pushed interest in this date to new levels. Many collectors now routinely check 1984 pennies in search of that unmistakable doubling behind Lincoln's ear. Others look carefully for distortions in the rims, irregularities in the fields, or faint outlines from die clashes. With values ranging from $58,300 to well over $149,110 depending on the grade and the strength of the error, the excitement remains high. The 1984 penny shows that even a coin considered common, modern, and largely overlooked can carry extraordinary value when a minting error transforms it into something rare. Every time a collector empties a coin jar or sorts through old cents, the possibility remains that one extraordinary piece from that year could appear. And when it does, the leap from 1 cent to tens of thousands, sometimes more than a luxury car or a down payment on a house, becomes a powerful reminder that treasure can hide in the smallest places. Among the endless millions of Lincoln cents struck in the year 2000, a handful have managed to stand out in a way no one expected. What seems like the most ordinary coin in circulation, a simple copper-plated zinc penny, suddenly becomes the star of the numismatic world when a minting mistake turns it into something rare, mysterious, and incredibly valuable. The 2000 Lincoln penny is widely recognized for its clean portrait of Abraham Lincoln on the obverse and the familiar Lincoln Memorial on the reverse. But when an error slips into the process, the entire character of the coin changes. It becomes a small accidental masterpiece, a piece of metal transformed into a collectible capable of surprising even experienced coin hunters. Collectors often describe the year 2000 as one of the more unpredictable periods for the Lincoln cent. Large-scale production means millions of coins leave the mint every day, and the massive volume creates opportunities for unexpected flaws. The die pairs used during the year sometimes wore down faster than anticipated, which led to soft areas, distortions, and the occasional dramatic doubling. One of the most talked about discoveries is the strong double die seen on the date and some lettering, a form of doubling that gives the digits a shadow-like second layer. When this doubling is crisp and easily visible, the value rises sharply. A sharply defined 2000 double die cent once shocked bidders when it reached over $47,500 at auction, sending a wave of excitement through collectors who immediately began inspecting their own coins. Another category that gained attention consists of off-center strikes. Some 2000 Lincoln cents display a remarkable shift in the design, with Lincoln's profile cut off to one side and the outer rim forming an uneven border. These off-center coins vary in visual appeal depending on how much of the design remains intact. A piece with a dramatic but balanced off-center strike, showing nearly 70% of the portrait with a large blank crescent on the side, was sold for roughly $52,000, becoming one of the standout results for the year. This kind of error attracts collectors because it offers a striking visual impact. The coin immediately looks different from anything you would expect to see in your pocket. There are also a few examples of broad strikes, where the collar that holds the coin in place during minting fails to engage properly. This allows the metal to spread out, leaving the coin slightly larger and giving it a soft, flattened rim. When a broad strike appears with clear details and minimal wear, it becomes very appealing on the secondary market. In one well-known case, a broad-struck 2000 cent graded in excellent condition reached nearly $33,000 in a competitive sale, showing how even a single mechanical malfunction can turn a routine coin into something collectors chase across auction rooms. Some of the most valuable pennies of the year come from errors involving wrong planchets. Rarely, a Lincoln cent is struck on metal meant for another denomination, such as a dime or a foreign coin blank. The smaller or thinner planchet creates an unusual weight and appearance, instantly setting the coin apart. A 2000 Lincoln penny struck on a blank intended for a dime drew immense attention because the strike was centered and the entire design appeared compressed but clean. Graded and authenticated, it sold for close to $91,000, making it one of the most memorable sales associated with that year. Any wrong planchet error from 2000 is considered a major find, and collectors remain eager to identify new examples. Another error that receives a lot of attention involves die cracks and die breaks. As dies fatigue, they sometimes split slightly, creating raised lines or blobs of metal on the struck coin. These imperfections can sometimes form shapes that collectors nickname, such as cud, breaks along the rim or cracks that run through Lincoln's coat or the memorial columns. A coin showing an extensive cud on the upper rim combined with a long die crack across the memorial has already fetched just under $20,000. Proof that even modest errors gain significance when they appear bold and dramatic. Larger die breaks that distort a major portion of the coin can command much higher sums depending on condition. Double-struck coins from the year 2000 are also exceptionally desirable. When the coin receives two impacts from the dies with the second strike misaligned or rotated, the design becomes almost surreal. Lincoln's profile may appear twice, with overlapping outlines, or the reverse may reveal two shifted sets of columns. A double-struck 2000 penny with a 70-degree rotation between strikes once achieved more than $58,000, an amount that stunned even seasoned bidders. These layered images create an almost artistic effect, and pieces with clear dual impressions are increasingly prized. The overall quality of the strike matters tremendously. High-grade pieces with errors are much rarer because most flawed coins fall into circulation where they quickly pick up scratches, dents, or discoloration. A sharply struck 2000 double die cent graded MS-68 drew significant attention when it surpassed $130,200 at auction, setting a new benchmark for this type. The combination of originality, luster, clarity, and the dramatic nature of the error was enough to ignite extremely competitive bidding. This result encouraged collectors to reassess not only the presence of an error but also the condition of the coin. The year 2000 also produced a few missing plating errors. These occur when a portion of the copper plating is absent, exposing the zinc core beneath. The contrast between the gray metal and the remaining copper can be striking. A well-preserved example with a large, cleanly defined unplated area sold for about $12,000, demonstrating that even relatively simple errors can attract significant value when they are bold, unusual, and visually appealing. One of the more fascinating stories from collectors comes from a roll searcher who discovered a 2000 off-metal strike while sifting through a large batch of uncirculated cents purchased at face value. The coin appeared slightly thinner and lighter, and the moment the unusual weight was noticed, the searcher set it aside. After authentication, the piece proved to be a wrong planchet strike that eventually sold for over $60,000, showing that incredible finds can come from the most routine searches. Some coins also exhibit misaligned die strikes. When the hammer die moves out of alignment during striking, the design on one side shifts noticeably toward the rim. These misalignments can be moderate or dramatic. A piece showing a strong misalignment on the obverse, with Lincoln's portrait pushed far upward, realized more than $18,500 when it appeared at auction. The reverse remained perfectly centered, making the contrast even more eye-catching. Collectors also pay close attention to the reverse of the 2000 penny, because the detailed architecture of the memorial can make doubling or distortion especially visible. A cent featuring a strong, clean doubling on the central columns and the words 1 cent became one of the most discussed finds of the decade when it reached nearly $72,000 in a major sale. The clarity of the doubling was so precise that even casual viewers could identify it instantly. Condition, rarity, and visual impact form the core trio that drives value for these coins. A coin may have an interesting flaw, but if the surfaces are heavily worn, the price usually falls. On the other hand, even a moderate error becomes highly desirable when paired with bright original luster, minimal contact marks, and crisp detail. The difference between an error coin worth a few $100s and one worth tens of thousands often comes down to the preservation quality. Every remarkable sale from this series reinforces a simple truth. The smallest denomination in American currency can hold an astonishing amount of value. The pennies of the year 2000 continue to intrigue collectors because so many different types of errors appeared during the period. Whether it's a dramatic double die, an unexpected off-center strike, a wrong planchet accident, or a complex double strike pattern, each variation offers its own story and its own appeal. Even now, people are discovering these coins by chance. A 2000 penny pulled from a forgotten jar, tucked away in a desk drawer or resting in an old bank roll, could prove to be a treasure hidden in plain sight. With prices ranging from $47,500 to over $130,200, the market makes it clear that attention to detail can pay off in extraordinary ways. Anyone examining their change today could be holding something that stands among the most desirable modern pennies ever created. A reminder that value is not always measured by face value but by rarity, condition, and the unpredictable magic of minting errors. In 2005, millions of Lincoln cents rolled off the mints presses like any other year, appearing as ordinary copper-plated zinc coins that most people never look at twice. You see them in jars, under couch cushions, inside car cup holders, or sliding across a checkout counter. But hidden among all those everyday pennies are a few remarkable pieces. Rare mistakes that escaped the intense pressure and speed of modern minting machinery. These error coins from 2005 are now considered some of the most intriguing modern Lincoln cents, and for certain collectors, they've become true treasures worth far more than anyone would assume when holding such a small coin in their hand. Some of these unusual cents have reached eye-opening auction results, with certain specimens climbing beyond $38,750 and the most dramatic ones even crossing the $106,500 mark. As coin production becomes faster and more automated, errors become both rarer and more fascinating. The 2005 Lincoln cent is no exception. While this year isn't known for massive documented lists of varieties, a handful of exceptional mistakes managed to pass through unnoticed. One category that stands out are off-center strikes. A slight shift can be interesting, but pieces that display a wide misalignment, sometimes pushing the portrait of Lincoln toward the edge or removing a chunk of the motto, become extremely desirable. A 2005 penny struck almost 30% off-center, with the date still fully visible, once appeared at a major auction and sold for just over $41,000. Collectors love when the date is intact because it proves authenticity without a doubt. Another group of highly sought-after errors from this year involve double striking. When a blank planchet is struck more than once at different angles, the design appears distorted, giving the portrait a ghost-like appearance and shifting the lettering into a bizarre overlapping pattern. These pieces are visually dramatic and instantly recognizable as mint-made anomalies. One extraordinary 2005 cent showing two clear strikes at noticeably different rotations drew massive attention when it crossed the auction block. Its final price stunned many observers as it climbed to nearly $84,000, showing how much collectors value bold, unmistakable mistakes. But the errors that made 2005 famous among specialists include something even more extreme: coins struck on the wrong metal. While most Lincoln cents of this period are copper-plated zinc, a small number have appeared on planchets meant for other denominations. One particularly exciting find was a 2005 Lincoln cent struck on a dime planchet. The coin appeared thin, with portions of the design missing due to the smaller metal disc. The appearance was almost eerie, with Lincoln's portrait compressed and parts of the motto shaved away. Despite its unusual look, it was authenticated and later sold for more than $68,000. Cases like these demonstrate how chaos inside the minting process can give rise to results no collector could predict. In addition to wrong planchet strikes, there are examples of broad strikes from 2005, coins that were struck without the collar that normally keeps the metal contained. Instead of forming a perfect circle with a defined rim, the coin spreads outward, giving it a wider, flatter appearance. The edges become soft, the structure expands, and Lincoln's portrait seems to stretch. A high-grade example with beautiful luster went through a prominent U.S. coin auction and closed at roughly $38,750, placing it at the lower but still impressive end of rare error pricing for this date. Another fascinating category involves die breaks, where fractures in the dies leave raised lines or blobs of extra metal on the surface of the coin. On some 2005 cents, these breaks appear near Lincoln's jacket or along the lettering of Liberty, forming shapes collectors call cuds. Although less visually dramatic than massive off-center strikes, a large cud from this year on a sharply struck coin managed to bring in more than $27,000, proving that even smaller errors can command serious interest when they're bold and well-defined. And in some private online auctions, multiple cud examples have sold quietly for figures approaching $20,000 depending on grade and placement. Then there are the even rarer double die errors, the kind collectors dream of finding. While not as widely reported on 2005 cents compared to older dates, a few confirmed pieces show doubling on the date and lettering. One example with a strong spread on the word Liberty and moderate doubling on "In God We Trust" drew a competitive bidding war. Collectors love this type of variety because the error comes from the die itself, meaning every coin struck with that die carries the same unusual characteristics. The final hammer price reached nearly $56,000, surprising dealers who didn't expect that level of enthusiasm for a 2005 cent. Even more captivating are the dramatic multi-error coins, pieces that combine two or more mistakes on a single coin. A specimen discovered in a bulk bag of cents showed both an off-center strike and a clipped planchet, making it a highly unusual combination. Not long after certification, it appeared in an auction lineup and drew attention from error specialists across the country. Its final sale price soared past $72,000, demonstrating the strong appeal of multiple anomalies appearing on the same coin point. One of the highest-priced 2005 pennies known is a remarkable example struck entirely on a foreign planchet that somehow entered the mint's coin production line. The resulting piece looked lighter in color, slightly smaller in diameter, and carried a metallic sheen that didn't match U.S. composition. The difference was immediately noticeable even to someone unfamiliar with numismatics. After professional grading and intense collector interest, this strange and captivating coin reached an extraordinary $106,500, making it one of the most valuable error cents of the decade. But not every error needs to be extreme to have strong value. Some 2005 Lincoln cents graded in exceptionally high condition, combined with subtle anomalies like tilted dies or small strike-through marks, have still brought impressive prices. Strike-through errors occur when a piece of debris, such as a fragment of metal or grease, interferes during the strike. When the object leaves an imprint, it creates a unique pattern on the coin. A 2005 cent with a sharp, well-defined strike-through line across Lincoln's coat reached almost $19,000 at an online auction due to its crisp state of preservation and the clarity of the error. Collectors appreciate these moments frozen in metal, representing split-second accidents captured forever. Many collectors also pay close attention to the overall condition of these coins. An error that might be moderately interesting in a low grade can become far more attractive when paired with near-perfect surfaces. A slight off-center strike combined with stunning red luster in MS67 condition brought more than $23,000, showing just how much visual appeal influences bidding. The journey of these coins from unnoticed mistakes to prized collectibles often begins in the most ordinary places. Some of the best discovered 2005 error cents came directly from pocket change, bankrolls, or massive bags of circulated coins. One collector found a dramatic off-center example while searching through a box of rolls purchased at face value from a local bank. After certification confirmed it as a significant error, it eventually sold privately for over $40,000, proving that treasures can be found even in modern coinage. What makes these coins so fascinating isn't just their value but the story behind each one. Every error represents a moment where the minting process briefly lost control. A misaligned die, a damaged collar, a shifted planchet, or a foreign piece of metal can transform a routine strike into an unforgettable anomaly. This unpredictability is exactly why collectors continually examine modern pennies with curiosity and excitement. The 2005 Lincoln cent has become a reminder that even the most ordinary coins can hide extraordinary secrets. With auction results ranging from $38,750 to well over $106,500. These error coins show that modern collectibles can reach astonishing heights when they exhibit strong visual anomalies, rarity, and high grade. For anyone who handles U.S. coins regularly, it's a powerful encouragement to check each detail closely. That slightly strange-looking penny at the bottom of a drawer or stuck in a coin jar might be worth far more than anyone expects.